We have gathered the Sunday Roundtable this morning, and joining us this morning are Democratic political analyst Marianne Marsh, Republican political analyst Ginny Buckingham. It's great to see you guys. Thanks for your time. Chris Doty just sat in the chair. Ginny, let me start with you. Are we talking about a breath of fresh air for the Massachusetts GOP, or not to be rude, or is it white noise?
Well, apparently not a breath of fresh air, in that the only way he has a shot of both winning the primary and maybe being competitive is to follow the footsteps of a Bill Weld, a Paul Cellucci, a Charlie Baker, and be the moderate conservative fiscally, but moderate or even liberal socially, to be not able to say that he's purely pro-choice, to not say he's against the anti-gay bill in Florida, not against conversion therapy. I mean, that is a recipe for disaster for the Republican Party.
So given that, is it 3 strikes and he's out?
He's out today. I mean, the fact is, Chris Doty revealed who he is today. The sheep's clothing came off, and he's really just Jeff Deal in a nicer suit and better glasses. He's anti-woman, anti-gay. I don't know how you operate in Massachusetts if you don't understand there's a daycare problem that affects the majority of women in the state, who are the majority of voters in the population. I don't understand how you don't understand that conversion therapy is a bad thing, or to discriminate against gay, lesbian, transgender people and kids. So Chris Doty is really Jeff Deal. And when Republicans go into that primary, they're going to pick the real deal, and that's Jeff Deal. Much to my chagrin, but Chris Doty has no chance in this race, and revealed who he is today.
Let's talk about something that has been probably the bigger political story this week in Massachusetts, or in Boston anyways. Those demonstrating daily at Mayor Wu's home joined some North End restaurant owners this week in a nasty confrontation in her City Hall office over her new outdoor dining fees. She offered them some concessions, but she changed her press conference to a smaller venue to avoid the screamers. It didn't stop them. What went wrong here, Marianne?
The screamers. I mean, bullying and bullhorns won't get you anywhere with Michelle Wu. And that was the problem with all of this from the beginning. She tried to mitigate it, but it didn't work. But good for her for standing up to them, because that's now become our political discourse. People think because of Trump and his influence, they can do that, number one. Number two, she's sticking up for the residents of the North End. There are more residents than there are restaurants. And in fact, most of those restaurant owners don't even live in Boston, let alone the North End. And we all know hundreds upon hundreds of residents are calling Michelle Wu, calling elected officials, complaining, and she's listening to them. She won the North End because she listens to the residents there. And last but not least, she's trying to make outdoor dining permanent instead of just a COVID thing. And so there needs to be some more structure to that, and she's doing that. Good for her.
Right or wrong? Is Marianne right or wrong?
I think she's dead wrong. Sorry.
That's why you're here.
She's showing a political tin air. You have to listen to people. There's a very thin line between being sanctimonious and arrogant versus listening and being out with the people. Restaurant owners are bringing people into the city. The city needs to be revived. Downtown is dead. She needs to bring people in, and to penalize restaurant owners who are just trying to survive just shows a real lack of political awareness.
We were just talking about screamers a minute ago. Speaking of screamers, the Boston City Council voted 9-4 to stop demonstrators between 9 at night and 9 in the morning. Ginny, does this ordinance have any longevity? I was going to say teeth, but I'll say longevity.
I mean, the First Amendment has lasted a long time, right? So I think that's the one that has longevity, and good for the 4 city councilors that voted against this ordinance aimed at one person who doesn't want people on her street. I get it. It's annoying, but it's a bad policy.
To be clear, if you don't know that, one person is the mayor who doesn't want the people in front of her house. Marianne,
And she says mostly it's because of her neighbors as well as her own family.
Protest at City Hall. Do you need a bullhorn? Do you need to be a bully? Do you need to bully little kids who live at home with their mother and an elder with their mother and her mother who is elderly and has mental health challenges? The neighborhoods don't appreciate it. This is just a phenomenon the last 5 years, and it's time to put a stop to all of the belligerence.
Wasn't the argument for the longest time the City Hall was closed? It's now open, so and that dynamic has changed.
I mean, look, I've done protests. I've been on picket lines. I've crossed them. I've marched them. There's a way to do this, and it's only been since Donald Trump that getting in your face, physically threatening people, intimidating people, and doing it in a racist way has become common. We need to stand up to that.
So this week, the state police won a big one. A Superior Court judge sided with 7 troopers, denied religious exemptions from Governor Baker's vaccine mandate. It's only a temporary injunction, but what does this potentially spell for the future, Marianne?
Well, there's a separation between church and state in the great country of the United States of America. It's something we should remember, number one. Number two, I will never understand people who want to go into public safety and then jeopardize public safety. So if you're not willing to do the requirements of the job, then get another job. You don't have to be a state trooper. And we need to start remembering what this country stands for, this democracy stands for. There are plenty of opportunities for you. There are plenty of things you have to do for your job. And if getting a shot is one of them, you should do it.
Where do you think this is all going to settle in the end, Jen?
You know, even before COVID, this fake religious exemption movement was taking hold around the country, with people seeing it as a way to get out of vaccine mandates of a different sort. It's a really bad idea. We need to draw the line here.
Next item, former Boston Police Commissioner Dennis White lost a round in federal court this week in his lawsuit against the city for firing him last year. He will continue to fight, but it revives 2 questions. Jenny, let me start with you. Why was he ever hired? And when will Boston get a new police commissioner?
Well, what was he hired for 2 days, I think?
For 2 days, right. Yeah.
You know, it's a good question, and it's something that should be back on the radar screen, as opposed to making these poor restaurant owners, buy Jersey barriers so that they can make a living. Let's get an update from that search committee, which was formed in January, and let's see where we are. This is a big priority.
And the police commissioner thing is just hanging there. People scream that Belichick doesn't have a defensive or offensive coordinator, for crying out loud.
Well, let's all go back a few months and remember that as soon as Marty Walsh was leaving Boston as mayor, in comes Willie Gross, who resigned right after him, and Marty Walsh hired Dennis White because Willie Gross told him to. No search, no examination, no conversation, no nothing. He did what Willie Gross wanted him to. Here we are. Michelle Wu, in January, appointed a commission run by a judge. Ed Davis, the former commissioner, is on it, and they will have a selection in June. Fine.